بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. طيب, how many questions do you have, Nafis? I don't know. Thursday we didn't have class. Perhaps a few people would like to get their overdue questions, inshallah. If not, they went to our class in the Lulu Marjan.
MC, New Jersey. Initials MC from New Jersey. If someone is anti-vaccines and wants to go to Umrah, do you personally know any way around getting necessary shots?
Sorry, that question from tonight or the other day?
Other night.
Read the rest of the questions, please.
Abu Abdul Rahman, Montreal, Canada. Have the Prophet ﷺ told in the narration which of the two group was right in the hadith about not praying Maghrib, but at Banu Qurida, Barakallahu fi initials MC from New Jersey. If a woman gets her period while traveling to Umrah, does she wait until she lands and her cycle is over to get into the state of Ihram?
طيب.
Brother Abu Abdul Rahman clarifies his question about Asr. The question was about Asr, not Maghrib.
طيب.
Initial Jew I from Ottawa, Canada. Is it a requirement for a woman's abaya to drag on the floor according to the hadith of Salama, or are socks sufficient to cover the feet? Brother Dawood of Philadelphia, PA. May Allah Ta'ala bless you and your family. Just wanted to show support and look forward to coming back to Philly Masjid Al Wasatiyah 2017.
خير إن شاء
Initials
الله.
MC from New Jersey. Do you have any advice or tips for someone going for Umrah? Initials AB, London. What's that? If, for example, both men have the tahleel plan in place, but one is getting married to the divorced lady, starts to genuinely fall in love, etc. Is this marriage valid? Initials MC from New Jersey. What is the definition of a true hijabi niqabi? Huda Ahmed, Toronto, Canada. During child labor, is the salah of a sister prior to nifas still valid if she vocalizes her pain during prayer? Or should she wait to combine with the next salah, knowing that she may give birth prior to the next salah? Initials MC from New Jersey. If a man wants to see a woman's hair and she's a niqabi, what is the ruling on that? For a marriage sit down.
صحيح. Okay, خير إن شاء الله.
Initials NC. Owings Mills, Maryland. Assalamu alaikum. I'm a sister in the university and one of my professors is a male. Should I lower my gaze throughout the entire lecture and only look up when necessary?
طيب, خير إن شاء الله. All right, let's get started with the first one, please, again. Follow.
Initials MC, New Jersey. If someone is anti-vaccines and wants to go to Umrah, do you personally know any way around getting the necessary shots?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله اللهم إني أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. As far as the question about personal vaccines, making Umrah, making Hajj, and do I personally know a way of getting around the system or the mandatory shots or vaccinations, etc.? Me personally, no, I don't. I don't know of a hookup or a person or establishment, la adri. As far as the ruling, and then it depends on the vaccine. Something that is plausible, something that is actually being spread. It isn't just fear or panic. It isn't just paranoia. It's actual disease or infection or sickness that's harming people, harming Muslims. It's a danger to yourself traveling in this state or to others, the Holy Lands, etc. Then that's one thing. Then those who are in charge of the holy sites and the Holy Lands, they should be obeyed and respected in that issue. They should be obeyed and they should be respected in that issue under those conditions. That is something that's proven. It's something that's plausible. It's something that's actually taking place, actually happening. It's a real danger to yourself, to others, etc. As far as if it's something that isn't plausible, something that has not been established, then that's a different story. You have the ability to make umrah, to make the hajj without getting this shot and that shot. That's a different story. Because that's not something that's necessarily sent down in the kitab and in the sunnah. Sent down in the kitab and the sunnah is to obey those who are in charge, those who are in authority, as long as they do not command you to do that which is against the kitab and against the sunnah. Against the kitab and against the sunnah. And taking the necessary precautions with regards to infection and disease isn't something that goes against the kitab and the sunnah. But all conditions, all restrictions for traveling, for visas, are not necessarily based off of that which I said is actual waqi' taking place. There's some things in which the people at the travel agent, the people in the customs border in Saudi Arabia may tell you this is just formalities. Faqat. Nothing more. Everybody understand? So there's a difference. There's a what? There's a difference. And obviously, if you can't get the vaccinations, then you should do that. For your benefit, for others' benefit, and to avoid any type of trouble or any type of unnecessary drama with regards to your ibadah, opposing them, etc. As far as if you cannot get the vaccines because of your medical condition, then it has to go back to the first point that I mentioned. The vaccine for something that's serious that you may have or may get or may acquire or may bring back or may take, then perhaps you don't need to make umrah. Everybody understand this? As far as if that isn't the case, Bismillah, put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's with regards to that question in brief. Fadl Nafis.
Abu Abdurrahman, Montreal, Canada. Have the Prophet ﷺ told in a narration which of the two groups was right in the hadith about not praying Asr, but at Beni Qurayza?
I don't know of an authentic narration specifically in which the Prophet ﷺ determined which of the two groups were correct. Those who delayed the Asr, possibly missed the Asr until they got to Beni Qurayza, the location of that tribe, or those who understood to pray Asr on time and to hurry up, travel quickly, swiftly to get to their destination. I don't know of the narration that says that the Prophet ﷺ specifically told which of the two groups had the proper understanding. I don't know. I haven't come across that. Wallahu alam.
Initials MC from New Jersey. If a woman gets her period while traveling to Umrah, does she wait until she lands and her cycle is over to get in the state of Ihram?
As far as a woman who gets her menstrual cycle, should she wait? What should she do? It all depends on how long the menstrual cycle is going to normally last. It all depends on how long your flight is or how long your stay is going to be there in Mecca and in Medina. If there is a certain amount of days in which you can do that, you can wait 3 days, then that's one thing. If you can't necessarily wait, if the plane is going to leave, you don't have time to do both, etc. The general rule is that a woman who's menstruating is allowed to make ihram. And it's a very popular misconception that many men and women have. الحيض لا يمنع من الإحرام مطلقا. الحيض إنما يمنع من أشياء محدودة مذكورة في الأحاديث الصحيحة إلا أن تطوفي بالبيت قال النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام لأمنا عائشة. أما الإحرام فلا. Ihram, you can get into the state of ihram in the state of menstruation. There's nothing wrong with that. You can be in the state of ihram and menstruation. However, you cannot make tawaf or other things that are mentioned in those hadiths with regards to hajj and with regards to umrah. But the question is now, what the people of knowledge say that it is disliked to get into ihram before you're actually going to perform the ansak, before you're actually going to perform the rituals. In other words, sitting in ihram hours or days before you're actually starting the hajj and the umrah. And the reason why they mention that it's disliked because in most cases, or it's likely for you to do something which is mahdhur, to do something which goes against the ihram, such as wearing the niqab, such as a man covering his head, covering your face, ala khilafin fi dhalik, okay, such as your nails, etc., your wife, whatever the case may be. Okay, and the concept of doing the ihram, getting the ihram, and going straight into the ibadah. It's not like putting on the ihram and sitting there for 10 hours before you actually move, let alone a day or 3 days. You understand? So it depends on how long the cycle is going to be. Some of the people of knowledge, they say, it's nothing wrong with a woman to take pills to prevent her menstruation for the purpose of making the umrah and the hajj on time in a simple, easy way. As long as the pills do not cause bodily harm, it's not something that you do every single month. You just do it one time, once in a lifetime, hajj opportunity, then that's one thing. That's what? That's one thing. So it depends on how many days you have, can you stay, so on and so forth. Bi-idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahu a'lam.
Initials UI from Ottawa, Canada. Is it a requirement for a woman's abaya to drag on the floor according to the hadith of Salma? Or are socks sufficient to cover the feet?
Socks are sufficient. It is not a requirement for the garment to drag on the floor. Obviously, it's better. It's closer to sitr, to haya. Her socks, her shoes being apparent, her ankles being apparent, even if they're covered by socks, instead of the ground just totally falling to where the shoes are. However, keeping in mind, walking down the street, keeping in mind, shoes, tripping, dirt, dirty, nasty things, unclean things. And also, to be real, hopefully this won't happen. Inshallah, it won't happen, but just keeping in mind the concept of if a sister had to run, even if it's not somebody that's attacking her, but a car or across the street or helping somebody out. Everybody understand this? Let alone a non-Muslim man, billah, trying to harm her and trying to do some physical harm to her. Not saying that she always has to run either. Okay, some sisters, mashallah, can defend themselves better than some men. Okay, and we encourage all Muslims, especially Muslim women, but all Muslims, to learn and to practice self-defense. Now, your interpretation or your application of self-defense is between what? Sharif, whatever you feel is self-defense, labas. Everybody understand this? That's your own personal madhab of self-defense. What's important is that for the Muslims, that's right, and not to just allow themselves to be victimized, and just sit like sitting ducks, waiting to be picked off, by malicious, evil, nasty kuffar that are jealous and that are envious that Allah had not blessed them and guided them. Wal-iyadhu billah. So therefore, the garment, in my opinion, it doesn't have to be dragging like a wedding dress, as some people think and feel, in my opinion. And at the same time, it shouldn't be high, whereas it resembles a man's dress above the ankles. But let's say, for argument's sake, if a sister had on a garment and her garment fell to her ankles and she had on socks, you can't see the color of her skin, dark, light, middle, you don't know what her skin is on her ankles. La bas. Sneakers, shoes, and then comes into play, what kind of shoes are you going to wear? Are you wearing shoes that are very catchy, very flashy, very fancy? Then that's one thing. Or you're wearing just normal shoes, sneakers. A girl, it's nothing wrong with her wearing normal sneakers, trainers, okay? All right, everybody understand the Skechers, Pumas, whatever. You like wearing nice shoes as long as it's nothing that's too what? Too flashy, too eye-catching. Everybody understand this? What's important is that the skin of the feet, of the ankle, of the instep, of the toes are not to be seen in front of non-mahrams. They're not to be what? Seen in front of non-mahrams. So that's what I feel is best. Wallahu alam.
Initials MC, New Jersey. Do you have any advice or tips for someone going for Umrah?
Advice, tips for going for Umrah? This is the advice of Allah, is to have taqwa. To fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be mindful that Umrah is the act of ibadah. And ibadah is invalid unless it's done with ikhlas and mutaba'ah. It has to be sincere for Allah, and it has to be according to the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. How do you know the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ regarding Hajj and Umrah? Except through knowledge, except through fiqh fi deen. So I advise you to fear Allah, to make your intentions pure for Allah, not to come back to your country, I made Hajj, I made Umrah, not to carry around and parade around with your camera, your iPhone or your Samsung and take 1,000 gazillion photos and selfies. Not saying that that's haram. Not saying that if you take a picture, it goes against ikhlas. Not saying that. But just be mindful that it's not just a fashion show or a Facebook presentation. It's an ibadah. If you take a picture or two or three, طيب, لا بأس. But the concept of just, what we've seen in the Prophet city in Mecca al-Mukarramah, the Kaaba just being lit up with flash, literally. Every 2 seconds, photo after photo after photo after photo. And people are barely making their ibadah properly. They're barely doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're barely making tawaf properly. As far as if you're making a tawaf, you're doing things properly, and you want to make a photograph, this is me and my friend, labas. You make a video, 5 minutes of faida, making tawaf is what? There's nothing wrong with that. As a brother, he refuted it. He said, how can you make a 5 minutes of faida making tawaf? How can you do a video making tawaf? This brother has no intentions. Can't necessarily say that. We were making a tawaf correctly, walillahi alhamd. Everybody understand this? And I remember there was one point in time in Medina in which you had no cameras. There were no cameras on the phones. You had to pull out your phone really quick and put it back, hide it. It's not how it is now. And I haven't been there in a couple years. With regards to, Hajj. With regards to what? I haven't made Hajj in a couple years. Umrah, Allahu alam. Everybody understand this? What's important is it's been a couple years since I made Hajj. So the point is, or the purpose is what? Is that take the pictures in moderation. Take the footage, the memories in what? Moderation. Don't make that your main purpose of being seen. Or some people, they go home and they have it written Hajj Fulan. Hajj Fulana. Haga. Fulana. This is a reality. Wallah. This is a Hajji, And it's like you become so that avoid that, Okay. Also, is that if you have any debts, then you should first and foremost have those debts recorded. And you should ask the permission of the people whom you owe money or property. Can I go? Can I leave? Make sure that it's recorded, your debts. Also give the advice to your family to have taqwa in your absence and to take care of your body and your affairs if you don't return. And my advice is to, as I said before, learn as much about the Ummah as you possibly can. Watching the videos, which we have done several on. Reading the books, walillahi alhamd. Talking about the Hajj, the Umrah, Tawaf, Talbiyah. Learning the fiqh, the ahkam of the Umrah. In general, the general haykala al-amma, ahkam tafsiliyah, al-khilafat al-tafsiliyah, according to your intelligence, according to your time. You get the general skeleton, get the detailed issues, and also learn the different views as well, and study thoroughly and study properly. And most importantly, rehearse. That's why professionals are professionals, because they rehearse. And you rehearse it so much in which the movement becomes instinctive. You don't have to think about it now. It's second nature to do it because you practiced and you rehearsed it so many times. That's my nasiha. And then make sure that you follow the sunnah when you travel with regards to mahram. Is that if you're with a group, that a group is a good group that has piety, taqwa, sunnah, not bid'ah. Avoid innovations on a trip. Making dua in the groups and touching this and throwing your chemo at this and rubbing this. Avoid all of those things which are not proven in the sunnah. That's my nasiha. And last but not least is to have a good time and to realize that Allah has blessed you, choosing you to go, and you may not return. You may not return. So value every moment and cherish every second. Wallahu alam.
And this was AB from London. It's LDN. Instead, for example, both men have the tahleel plan in place, but one is getting married to the divorced lady, starts to genuinely fall in love. Is this marriage valid?
If he falls in love with the girl, if it's tahleel, innama al-a'malu bin-niyyah. Deeds are based off of intentions. The ulama of Islam, they mention over 100 suwar or masail muta'alliqa bi hadha al-hadith. Things that are included and attached to this hadith. The concept of the intention. If you love the girl, you're attracted to the girl, you're falling in love, that's fine. But your niyyah must be, I want to marry this woman because I desire her as my wife. I want to be with her. I want to sit with her. I want to have intercourse with her. I want to travel. She's my wife. Everybody understand this? Not because I want to go back to Nafis. Period. Whether you love her or not. Everybody understand this? The niyyah of tahleel is the niyyah of what? Tahliyah. You got this nafis. It doesn't change just because you love her too. Or you're falling in love with a girl too. You're seeing roses and Cupid is following you around with a bow and arrow. Compound bow. Shooting at you. لا يغير شيئا. What's important is the niyyah, the intention of marrying a woman. Everybody got this? So if you're starting to feel some type of way about the girl, change your intention. Everybody understand this? Make sure your intention is far removed from it. Get rid of the thought of divorcing her after a week, after a month, after 2 hours. You had sex 3 times with her and that's it. Get rid of that. Get rid of that and tell the brother, I'm sorry, Akhi, I no longer can help you out in the feast. Malish. Inshallah, she's going to be my wife now. I can't help you, huh? No one told you to have an anger problem. Anyway, if you loved her so much, what? هذا هو. It's Allah mustaan. And you like spaghetti? Alhamdulillah. I'm gonna eat the spaghetti now. Allah mustaan. And this is joking, but this is what? Wallahi, this is a reality. Seriously, ikhwan, this is not a joke. If you love this woman or you care about this woman, no matter what she does or what problems, you know that when she gets divorced and she marries another man, you're not going to be able to bear it. You're going to miss her. You're going to think about her. So why be foolish? Just hold back. Don't say talaq. Khalas. Control yourself. Get counseling. Get therapy. You have to leave her alone. Whatever the case may be. Whatever you got to do. Everybody understand this? Instead of talaq. It's better. Everybody understand this? That's why there's some women, when they go through problems with their husband and they do something that's wrong. A woman, she does something really foolish, really stupid. Everybody understand this? And she knows that it was foolish and stupid. And instead of the husband divorcing her, she'll say, please, she'll beg him, do anything. Hit me, curse at me, scream at me. Just don't make talaq. Everybody understand this? Why did she say this? Some sisters say, well, I'm not saying that. I ain't begging nobody. I'm not begging no man. I'm my own woman. Okay, fine. Many women. But some women, I'd rather have a busted lip, waliyadu billah. I'd rather have a black eye. I'll overcome that pain. The scar will go away. It will heal. But me not being with my husband that I love and care for so much, she can't bear that thought. So therefore, she's willing to do what? Sacrifice something. Even she's saying, hit me, smack me, do this to me. Just please don't divorce me. Everybody understand this? If some men only had that what? That mentality. You know you're going to feel a certain type of way. Why even mention the word talaq? And then you're going to get on the phone. You're going to call the imam to him. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Wallahi, we had an argument, Sheikh. I was angry, Sheikh. Yeah, she was missing, Sheikh. Wallahi. ليش يا أخي? ليش ورطت نفسك أصلا؟ Allah sabart. Punch the wall. Do anything. Because once you say that word talaq, the third and final time, class. Everybody understand this? Or doesn't that have to be over? Comes brother, what? Brother, yeah, it's Khalid. And Khalid, he may agree to divorce and then later on he said, what? Anyway, she cooked spaghetti last night with the garlic bread? Kalas, sir. Everybody understand this? Then there's a problem. Then the feast wants to beat up Khalid outside of the masjid on Jummah. Or looks at him funny. Oh, Sheikh, no, malish yubadi'u. He says, Khalid mubtadi'. He's a hizbi. He's a hizbi now. I knew he wasn't upon clear Salafiyah. Wallahi, because of spaghetti. Allahu musta'an. Allahu a'lam. Fadal.
Initial MC from New Jersey. What is the definition of a true hijabi niqabi?
What's the definition of a true hijabi or niqabi? I would say a definition of a true niqabi or true hijabi is a sister that's hardcore, inwardly and outwardly. She has the hijab with her heart, her mind, her akhlaq, shyness in a necessary place of shyness. She's chaste. She's chaste with her private part. Her sexual organ is not touched or entered by anyone that's her husband. Her eyes are chaste. Everybody understand this? Her tongue is chaste. She doesn't curse and slander and talk lewd to men. Everybody understand this? Her ears are chaste. She doesn't listen to obscenities and profanities. Everybody understand this? Her body is covered, her outward beauty is covered, and her inward beauty is covered as well. Everybody understand this? That's the definition of a true niqabi, a true hijabi. It's a sister who finds pleasure in the hijab, who finds honor in the hijab. Alhamdulillah, Allah made me different. Alhamdulillah, Allah made me unique. Alhamdulillah, Allah guided me, and I'm not walking down the street with every dog and parasite licking and lusting their lips over me and looking at me and staring at me. Alhamdulillah, Allah made me like this. That's a true hijabi, a true niqabi. If I'm in the United Arab Emirates, if I'm in New York City, if I'm in New Jersey, Saudi Arabia, it doesn't matter. Hijab is hijab. I don't wear my hijab for my father. I don't wear it because of my husband. I don't wear it because of my uncle, because of my culture. I wear hijab for Allah only, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Lillahi al-mashriq, maghrib. To Allah belongs the east and the west. On an airplane, on a train, period. So this is true niqabi and true hijabi. Everybody understand this? This is, as I said, who's spiritually what? Hardcore. She understands the fiqh of the hijab, the adab of the hijab, and she honors herself in having a what? Having on the hijab. She doesn't care if people staring at her and making, so what? Doesn't bother me. Say whatever you want to say. It doesn't bother me. Everybody understand this? And also, my definition of a true hijabi niqabi is a sister who's willing to defend herself and defend her faith with regards to hijab and niqab. And it's much bigger than you. I don't mind somebody following me or saying this, but what about a sister that is scared, that is terrified? If I let him come up and do this to me or say something or throw something at me, he becomes even bolder and he does it more harm. And sometimes kuffar have to be taught a lesson in respect. You can say whatever you want, just don't let me hear you say it. You can think and feel whatever you want, just don't come into my circumference. If you do, only Allah knows what may happen to you. This is bottom line. You can't disrespect Muslim sisters like that. It's not a joke, it's not a game. Everybody understand this is not what? It's not a game. And if if you don't take this mentality, then the oppression will continue. Then the oppression will what? It will continue. Don't you think when people fought in the civil rights movement, someone called him a bad word? It didn't bother me. It's just a big deal. He called me an N-word. So what? But I have to say something because they're going to continue to do it. What'd you just say? Excuse me? Oh, no, okay. That's what I thought you said. And you pull off. This is a reality, wallahi. And if this approach is not taken, then the kuffar will just keep thinking that Muslims are pushovers. Shoot them, do this, do that, grab the sister, trip the sister. What the guy said, what he had to be like? Kick the sister the other day in JFK? A'udhu billah. You don't think there was no Muslim in there around? Oh, call the security. Call the police. Allahumma musta'an. Yani, if that was your mother that was kicked. Huh? If that kuffar, if he thinks this is easy. JFK is full of Muslims, Queens. If I kick one sister, no one does anything, well, kick another. And trip another and grab her and squeeze this and do this and fondle her. So that's wrong. Hijabi should be prepared to defend herself, not to be violent unnecessarily, we ain't saying that, but to defend herself against someone who's transgressing the boundaries. That's the bottom line. That's a true hijabi and a true what? A true niqabi. And also, last but not least, is a true hijabi, a true niqabi, is a sister that's far from kibr, pride. You take pride in your deen, not pride in yourself. You don't look down upon the other sisters. With many sisters, they do this. Because I'm wearing hijab and all black and covered, I'm pious, I'm in Jannah, and you're a fasiqah. You're ta'bana. You're this and you're that. You have no value, no worth. And oftentimes, there's some sisters who want to wear the full hijab. They want to be upon the sunnah, not the cultural hijab, but the sunnah hijab. But they just have a bad reputation from the sisters. Everyone who wears the hijab are arrogant, stuck up. Every brother who has a big beard, he starts looking down upon the people. And this is a sad reality, waliyadu billah. He has a beard, a sajda mark, a short thobe, he's mutakabbir. Mutawa, he's mutakabbir. Yahtaqir al-nas. He looks down upon the people. So if you see a sister that has on tight pants, her hair out, tight shirt, her breast out, you see a sister with earrings and lipstick and all that stuff that's against the sunnah, sit down with sister and give her advice. Pass on a book. Here, this is a book that I read on hijab. It's changed my life. I wanted to change yours. Invite her to a cup of tea. Be a sister to her, be a friend to her, and say that which is necessary. Not mujamala, to cover it up, but to tell them what they need to be told with gentleness, with kindness, with wisdom. And do not concern yourself with who's going to hell. Do not concern yourself with taking people outside of the circle of Ahlul Sunnah. Concern yourself with bringing more people into the circle and saving a soul. Bi'idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. Very important concept of hijabi and niqabi. Hijabi and niqabi is not a cult. It shouldn't be a clique. It shouldn't be a gang or a band. And it's exclusive to us. The only one that can get salams from us is the sisters that have on the gloves up to their elbows. If you have on short gloves, we don't give you the salams. If you have a garment from the shoulders, your hijab is nah. Avoid all of those things. Because Allah could take that thing from you. And that person may be sincere. And you may not be sincere. You may go straight to hell. And they may go straight to paradise. Just because of sincerity. Wallahu alam.
The issue about like the airport. I was at the airport yesterday. And the protests are going on at JFK and all that. They got the people. And there was like army, police officers like at the gate I was at. And the sister, she wanted to pray. She wanted to pray, but she was scared to. And I seen her with the compass. She was trying to figure out where it was, and she was like kind of like sitting down. She didn't want to do it. So I was like, "You want to pray?" She's like, "Yes, I want to pray." She's like, "But she know everything around." I said, "No, I'll pray." And then there was like 3 other brothers, and it was like, "You want to pray? Pray." She was like, "You guys watch while I pray." I said, "Yeah, pray." We was like, "Yeah, pray." But she was like, after she prayed, she was just like, "Man, thank you." Like she was like, because somebody was doing.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khairan. Allah bless you. I mean, allow you to rescue more sisters. I mean, make sure you have the right reasons. Barakallahu feekum. Allah musta'an. No, seriously, it's real, akhi, you know. And just like I said, just imagine if that was your sister somewhere, or your daughter, or your aunt. Wallahu alam. May Allah help us all.
Sister Huda Ahmed, Toronto, Canada. During child labor, is the salah of a sister prior to nifas still valid if she vocalizes her pain during prayer, or should she wait to combine with the next salah, knowing that she may give birth prior to the next salah?
She should pray before, inshallah ta'ala, if she has the ability to do so. If she has the ability to do so. If she can't, because you can't necessarily predict when it's going to come, when it isn't going to come, all of the time. And you make the salah, there's no bleeding, and she screams out loud, inshallah, labas. Because she's mukraha. She's being coerced. She doesn't have the ability to control her emotions because of the severe pain of the contractions, etc. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Initials MC from New Jersey. If a man wants to see a woman's hair, she is a niqabi, what is the ruling on that for a marriage sit down?
It's permissible for a man to see a woman's hair if they're looking to get married. When he can see the hair, at the first sit down, after the wakil and the woman have agreed that inshallah we're going to move forward or not, these are all details in which the ulama of Islam differ over. I would humbly say, wallahu ta'ala alam, if you had to sit down with a brother, of course nothing is written in stone, especially in the first sit down, but you have general information about the brother. He has a good past, he has integrity, he's equitable type of brother, inshallah. Your wakil met him, spoke with him, set up the meeting, etc. And you honestly feel that this is a serious, what's the word I'm looking for? Candidate for marriage. I didn't say Mr. Right. Mr. Right, Allah Alam, but maybe Mr. Right. Tayyib. If you feel it's Mr. Right. But Sharif said Mr. Right from the first sit down. He saved me in the airport. He's brave, strong, big, mashallah. He has a heart made of gold. It's a big heart. No doubt about that. Maybe phone number 2. Which way is the Qibla, Akhi? And your phone number? At the end of the day, if you sat down with a brother and you feel that he's possibly a serious candidate and he's sadiq, yani, he actually wants to see about marriage and he asks to see what you look like, la bas. Someone that's not like that you don't trust, that you don't necessarily know too much about, who's playing around, different story. But let's say for the first sit down and he, you know, the conversation was going well. He wanted to know what you look like. Is there a chance if I'm going to like you in the future? La bas. Allahu alam. But your discretion, your personal feelings, your akil, those are things have to be handled later on. But the general ruling of permissibility and impermissibility, I wouldn't say it's haram. I wouldn't say it's haram to ask to see the sister's face and her hair on the first sit down. Wallahu alam. Fadal. Wa alaikum salam to Allah.
Initials NC, Owings, Mills, Maryland, USA. Assalamu alaikum. I am a sister in the university and one of my professors is a male. Should I lower my gaze throughout the entire lecture and only look up when necessary?
It's permissible to look at a male as long as you're not lusting off of that male. As long as you're not lusting over him. You can watch something or look at something, a presentation, a lecture, a teacher. You can look at him as long as you're not lusting over that person. Everybody understand this? The moment you start lusting or your mind starts to travel and run wild, lower your gaze. وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ. Lower the gaze. As far as mujarrad al-nazar, then the hadith of Aisha regarding the Abyssinians that were in the masjid playing with their spears clearly proves that. In the explanation of the hadith, the Prophet allowed her to look at those men. And he asked her, after she looked, you got enough? She said, yeah. And then they left. She asked, do you have enough? He allowed her to look at those men. Everybody understand this? And they were men. So at the end of the day, if you're in the university, you look, obviously paying attention to the teacher, what he's saying. Body language is sometimes stronger than the actual tongue. So it's not necessarily haram to do that. If you feel doubtful, or if he's attractive, and you feel that you're going to be gravitated towards him, lower your gaze. And this is just this is a fish inside of a sea of problems in universities with regards to Islam and the Sunnah, Muslims, Muslim identity, Islamic identity, hijab, niqab, ikhtilat, free mixing, Allahu al-musta'an. Wallahu alam.
Brother Idris from Toronto, Canada. Sheikh, may Allah bless you. Can you shed light on the understanding of talking about the past and the laughing about it, as some people use the hadith of Simak to justify it?
Talking about Jaaliyyah? Make sure, please. Ask him. Next question. Fadal.
What's the ruling on reciting the Quran with your innermost aura revealed?
The ruling on reciting the Quran with the innermost aura revealed. I don't know of a hadith that makes it impermissible. Haram. You can't do it. Okay. وَهُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ. Allah is with you wherever you may be. Allah Azza wa Jalla is al-Zahir and also al-Batin. No one escapes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether you got on clothes, whether you're naked, Allah knows, Allah sees everything that happens, everything that takes place. Allah knows in your heart. So you reciting the Quran or reading the Quran or mentioning the name of Allah with clothes, without clothes, Allah, everybody understand this? Period. Okay, so to say this haram, you cannot recite it, that's something that I don't know of. I've never read that it's haram. You cannot do it. As far as preferability, as far as shyness, as far as yani tarkuhu awla, istihya'an, and so on and so forth, and perhaps one could say that. It's best to avoid, you're naked. But going back to the first thing I mentioned, that whether you have on clothes or not, هو الظاهر والباطن يعني. Everybody understand this? Nothing is hidden from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore, it isn't something that I would necessarily advise with. It isn't something that I would necessarily say go ahead and do it, but to say it's haram, I can't say that. And I would say wait until you're dressed to read the Quran and recite the Quran. Let's say a person, mathalan, was naked and the Quran was playing in the background. I can't say that's haram as well. Everybody understand this? So therefore, I can't say that it's haram. It's definitely could be preferably best to delay until you are dressed, or at least now you have more clothes. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Wallahu alam. See, this is brown hair. This is green. What's in this? Allahu alam. What's in this? Allah knows best as well. Next question, Nafis. It came from Nafis. Only Allah knows.
Brother Idris from Canada, about the hadith. Can you shed light on the understanding of talking about the past and laughing about it, as some people use the hadith of Simak to justify it about Jaaliyyah?
Right. We say that it's not haram to mention the days of Jaaliyyah. Absolutely. Mutlaqan. No. Especially if Allah guided you, if Allah blessed you. Or even just the concept, just human nature. You know, subhanAllah, you know, before I was Muslim, I used to train horses. I had nice horses. I had a horse stable. Yeah, I had a real nice horse before. Yeah, so on and so forth. You looking to get a horse? Can't say that's haram. He was a kafir, and he finds some type of glory or happiness or joy in that state. Not in the state of him being a mushrik or kafir, but just the concept of some of the things that he went through in life. He says, subhanAllah, you know, that was deep. Or mathalan, of people that before, yani as Nafis or other brothers say, I wasn't a Muslim then. I was Nafis Hussein, but I wasn't a Muslim. I wasn't praying. Or this brother says I wasn't drinking. I was in Guyana. I was drinking rum. I didn't know Allah until I was 40 years old. My beard became gray. Then I started learning and actually making 5 salah a day. Some people, they say things like this. And then he talks about something that he did in the past. I used to have a friend. I used to have this. I used to do this. And he says, you know, subhanAllah, that was real nice one that I had. Something like that. Can't necessarily say that's haram. But when you start cracking up and laughing and joking about how many women you used to be with, you had women like a revolving door, and you find it a macho thing, like, yeah, you know, or the drugs or the alcohol or whatever the case may be, how beautiful you used to look before hijab, and you look at it as a good thing and a praiseworthy thing. Now something's obviously clearly what? Clearly wrong. But the mujarrad hikayah, just mentioning what happened and what took place, it may be talking to somebody, giving them a lesson, you know, tell him a lesson. It's a young Muslim guy who wants to be a gangster. He wants to be a tough guy. And you sit there and tell him, like, listen, man, you show him some pictures saying, this is what I used to do. This is how I was getting it. And you tell him reality. Money, this, that, guns. That's something that you don't want to do. And he may not listen to you. He may not believe you until you give him some details. Everybody understand this? Then he may respect you, like, oh, man, he's serious. He's really doing it. And say, listen, man, it's a dead-end wall at the end of the road. Trust me. The money, the women, the cars, this and that, the fame, the fortune, at the end is going to be grave or life in prison. That's it. You can't beat the game. The game is undefeated in history. There hasn't been someone who just walked away. Dead, eternal life in prison, or walked away with a serious scar. Witness protection, paralyzed, can't walk, half my body shot up, riddled with bullets. There is no way that you can beat Jaaliyyah. You can't beat it. Everybody understand this? You can't win. It's not meant to be defeated. So sometimes you can't get to this point in this reality until you what? And you explain to them what may have happened. Wallahu alam. Fadal. Nafisa.
Name G from Brooklyn. I got a job, but I don't know how to ask my manager about prayer, or is it valid to pray Maghrib and Isha together? Jazakallah khair.
We say not to put water under the bridge. However, you should have said this and made the stipulation before you got the job. My brother once in Philadelphia years ago, he said, yeah, Mufti, I got a job, a real good job. I'm driving a bus. I can wear my beard, so on and so forth, but I have 40-day probation. I can't miss a day of work. I can't go to Jummah. Is that permissible, Sheikh? I said, you know, like, it's a bit late. You should have asked that before you signed the contract and got the job. Now you're on a probation. Sometimes you need to make these stipulations what? Before time, before you're stuck and trapped into the snare now. You can't get out of it. As far as is it permissible or not, then we say no. You cannot combine Maghrib and Isha unless there's an excuse occasionally. Occasionally. Not 5 days a week. Not every single day. Everybody understand this? The Salah has been made mandatory upon the believers in set times, fixed times. Everybody understand this? In the Kitab and in the Sunnah and the Ijma' of the Ulama. And it's only permissible to combine the Salah for specific reasons. Muzdalifah, everybody understands Hajj, whatever the case may be, Arafah or whatever. Traveling on the road, someone who's sick, a woman persistent bleeding. And according to some of the fuqaha, based on Hadith Abdullah ibn Abbas and Sahih Muslim, making dhuhr and asr, maghrib and isha without traveling for a hajjah. Ahyanan. Not all of the time. Not every single day. So talk to your boss, explain to them, tell them, listen, I'll do something extra if you want me to. I'll work on holidays, I'll do this, I'll be the best worker you got, but I need 5 minutes to make maghrib. At least 10 minutes. I need time to go, put on my izar, make the salah, I'll be right back at the post. I'm not smoking, I'm not drinking, I'm not texting, I'm just praying to God, I'll be right back. If you can't respect that, or if it's a dangerous job, you're in a high place, you're dealing with heavy equipment, metal, this, that, welder, construction, then you got to get a different job. You have to put your trust in the law and you have to get a different job. And the Lord knows best.
Initials MG from New York, United States. My question tonight is it a sunnah to wear thawb and kufi?
Is it the sunnah to wear thawb and kufi? Yes and no. From one aspect, it's a sunnah to cover the head of the male outside and to wear loose-fitting clothes of the Muslims, and things that the Prophet ﷺ were generally fond of. The qamis, the rida, the izar, the jubba. Everybody understand this? Hulla. None of those clothes that the Prophet ﷺ wore were tight-fitting. Not saying that all pants that you have to wear are tight-fitting. Not saying that either. That's another extreme. You can wear loose clothes that cover your odor, but the general concept is these are the clothes that the Prophet was fond of. Everybody understand this? A little concept of covering the odor more, being more modest, and the Muslim being distinguished. The Muslim being what? Distinguished and known and seen and respected. So the general concept is that it's sunnah, with those intentions, of course. Why it isn't a sunnah, the no part of the answer, is that the Prophet ﷺ, he did certain things out of culture. That was his culture. That was the nature and how he lived and where he lived. And it's not necessarily something he addressed the people to do and told the people to do. There are certain things in which he specifically told the people to do, and he informed them of the virtue of those things, such as wearing white. Wearing white. He addressed the people about white and the virtue of white. Everybody understand this? That's not, you can't just say, oh, wearing white is custom of Arabs. No, it's sunnah to wear white. White shirt, white thobe, white jacket, white kufi, al-muhim. Because the nas is there specifically. Specific text about the spiritual virtue of white. The shrouding of the dead. Has nothing to do with culture anymore. And there are other things that the Prophet ﷺ did and which he did not address the people to do. He did not tell the people to do. Rather, there are some articles of clothing of the Muslims that were unknown to the Prophet and the Sahaba. So there's a kufi. There's a qulunsuwa. Okay? Taqiyya, things that are similar, but it's different than this. Everybody understand? It's taqiyya, yani. Everybody understand this? It's not necessarily something that the Prophet and the Sahaba had. Everybody clear on this? Let alone other articles of clothing. Shimal, ghutra bayda, ghutra qatri, so on and so forth. It's not necessarily something that the Prophet wore, but it's similar. Let alone it suits the purpose of covering the head, shyness, and respect. Everybody understand this? With regards to the head being uncovered. So therefore, there are cultures or cultural practices, pieces of clothing that the Prophet ﷺ never wore, never knew of. There was no shimag in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. There was khimar, yes. There was a imama, there was lifaf, there was this, and so on and so forth in general. But that specific style is different. So you can't say it's a sunnah to wear a red checkered scarf. But it is a sunnah to cover the head in public. That's something that the Prophet ﷺ always did. That's something that goes to the concept of respect. It could be a sunnah from that aspect. It could be. The concept of the ulama covering their heads in public. That's one thing. The Muslims dress like this. It's known. You see somebody with a white thobe and a red checker scarf, the first thing you're going to say is what? A Muslim. Terrorist, Saudi, Wahhabi, they're going to think what? Muslim. And they're not going to think Christian or Jew or fire worshiper. It's a reality. You see someone with the clothes of the people from Nigeria, green, red, blue, white, black, whatever color. The first thing they want to think about is a Nigerian what? Muslim and not a Christian. And you cannot argue with that point. No, there are Christians in Nigeria. Of course there are. They dress differently. They don't dress the same. Wherever you go, the Muslims, one way or another, whether it's 20%, 50%, 100%, are going to dress differently than the non-Muslim citizens, even if they eat and drink the same things, or they walk and talk the same way, which that's going to be different too. But in general, the clothing is going to be distinct, whether it's a hat, thobe, something, pants, dhikr beads, something is going to distinguish this Muslim from the non-Muslim, from the Christian and Pakistani, from the Jewish Yemeni, or the Yemeni, the Jew in Yemen. It's going to be different, one way or another. So that's the answer to the question. Obviously, a lot of people have made a big deal of confusion about this issue, supporting it and going against it. It's absolute sunnah to wear thobe and a kufi. That's the sunnah to wear a checkered scarf. It's the sunnah. You're a Salafi if you wear a red checkered scarf. If you wear a long turban like they wear in Afghanistan, you're Quburi, Ahlul Bidah. People will say things like this. A scholar, a speaker of ilm has to have a specific dress code. You're wearing a Moroccan thobe, you're a Sufi. You wear a white thobe from Saudi, you're a Salafi. Unfortunately, this type of ignorance. And you have the other people on the other side of extremism who say you shouldn't wear thobe in America at all. Wear pants. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah said this and he said that. Don't go against it. What is this kalam faddaz? It's false voice speech. Everybody understand this? Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah is not the kitab, nor the sunnah, nor ijma', nor qiyas. Let alone what did he specifically say? What did he mean? And what did the other things that Ibn Taymiyyah said that you totally disregard and throw out the window? So why are you saying don't wear thobe and wear pants? Because you don't feel it's sunnah? يعني مسألة علمية فعلا? Wala you're just trying to fit in and look like a non-Muslim and not to be pointed out and singled out on the bus, on the train, in the airport. Don't wear thobe because you're scared of airport security, DHS, TSA, whatever the heck they're called, whoever they are. What is your intention? And where does it stop? Don't wear thobe, have on loose pants above the ankles. Then the next thing you know, don't have pants above the ankles, high waters. Then you're musbil. Then the pants become what? A little tight, a little snug. Then the hair is a bit more wavy, a bit more shiny, a bit more what? Modern, a bit more fitted in. Then the beard, trim, shape up nice, presentable. The Prophet was a nice man. Next thing you know, you shave your face, Gillette. The best a man can get. Not a Muslim man. Everybody understand this? The best a Muslim man can get is sunnah, woolly, bushy, hairy on his face. Everybody understand this? And then the same applies to the woman. Your woman, and wallah, we've seen as brothers, they wear short shorts to the tip of their knees, tight shirts, a polo hat, and the wife is covered in black, 90 degrees, tip to toe, top to toe, walking by. How does that look? Or it gets even worse than that, in which now the woman's hijab starts to become tweaked and Americanized, or Canada, or wherever you are, Australia. Don't wear the niqab. Niqab is not mandatory. Aisha uncovered her face. Salama kada, this kada, Abu Hanifa kada, Ahmad. It's not mandatory. They try to make it a scholastic debate to prove that it's not mandatory. Okay, tayyib. Then niqab goes. Then the traditional overgarment goes. And from a traditional overgarment to just a long shirt and a jean skirt. And then the covering of the feet goes. The top of the feet are seen. And the toes come out. And a little bit of, foundation or blush, just a little, cover up some blemishes, not for, the little green mascara, kuhul, Maybelline. He said, maybe it's what? Maybe it's Maybelline. Mumkin. Everybody understand this? The zina comes more and more, and the dress becomes less loose, a bit tighter, chest, let me tuck in my kimar, and you start losing your deen, losing your identity, piece by piece by piece. Or even if you don't, because some people say that's an extreme, yahi. Okay, even if you don't, why are you not trying to look like a Muslim being recognized? Because you actually don't feel it's mandatory? Because you actually don't feel that it's sunnah, it's just culture? Or because you want to look like the kuffar? Which of the two? You're afraid of people staring at you and looking at you? Wallahi, when we drive through the neighborhoods in Brooklyn of the Jews, their beards as long as can be. Their plaits as long, dangling as can be. They have on their hats, fur hats, huge as can be. Their pants, their thobes as high as can be. Their white stockings that they wear are bright as can be. And every single woman walking down the street has on a skirt, has on a shirt, has on a wig, has on a cap. And everywhere you look, it's nothing but minivans. Nothing but minivans in the Jewish neighborhoods. Minivan after minivan after minivan. They're not afraid how what they feel is mandatory or recommended to do. They don't care. I don't care what you think about Jews, what you say about us. Call us what you want. This is our neighborhood, our restaurant, our school bus, Yiddish, Hebrew. They stand out. They don't care what the other people look at them and how they feel about them. And they're Jews. So what about Ahlul Islam? It's sad that those Jews have more courage than you do. It's sad that those Jews have more respect for their ways, even if it's not religiously based. You ask some Jews, they'll tell you it's nothing but culture to wear this type of hat. Culture. The beard, different story. The strings on the pants, perhaps different story. They'll say this. But you scared of the kuffar. Shaykh Islam, Imam Fulan, we shouldn't do this. Wallahi, brother, you shouldn't wear a thobe. You shouldn't wear niqab. You shouldn't have a beard. You shouldn't have your pants above your ankles. Allah musta'an. تفضل شيخ نوح.
قراءة القرآن أو ذكر الاستغفار والتسبيح في حالة الجنوب.
حالة الجنابة القول الراجح الصحيح الذي أدين الله به على قلة علمي ويعني القراءة محدودة عندي، لكن الذي أرى أنا أنه ليس فيه شيء، أن القول الراجح الصحيح يجوز قراءة آية، نصف آية، ثلث آية، آية كاملة بدون إشكال. مس المصحف الشريف حتى في حال الحدث أصغر ولا أكبر. الحائض، الجنب، ليس هناك دليل نص صريح ثابت عن النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام يمنع من ذلك، بل الظاهر والله أعلم أنه يكون خلاف ذلك. وإن أردت أنت التفاصيل والأدلة والأقوال ووجهات النظر فعليك مثلا كتب الشروحات، كتب الفقه، لا الفقه الأعمى الذي لا يخرج عن دائرة صغيرة يعتمد أقوال ويتعصب لها. لا 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 لا، الفقه يكون للنظر. هذا الذي أنصحك به. فلو سئلت أنا قلت هذا الذي يظهر لي أنا، لكن جمهور الفقهاء من أصحاب الأئمة الأربعة وغيرهم يمنعون من ذلك ويفصلون. منهم من يقول ثلث آية، ربع آية، شطر آية، نصف آية. منهم من يقول الحائض يعني تختلف عن الجنب، الجنب يعني إنما أجنب باختياره والحائض بدون اختيارها، وقد يطول عدد الأيام الحيض وإلى آخره. تفاصيل موجودة في كتب الفقه، لكن أرى والله أعلم أن أدلتهم ووجهات أنظارهم ما يعني تخرج عن أحد أمرين اثنين. الأمر الأول أو الاحتمال الأول يكون مما لم يثبت أصلا، والاحتمال الثاني والوجهة الثانية أنها مما تضطرب وتتناقض. الحائض والجنوب جاء في حديث واحد، ليش أنت فرقت بين الحائض والجنوب؟ ومن الذي قال ثلث آية ونصف آية؟ من فرق بين هذا؟ من تناقض واضطراب؟ فهمت هذا باختصار والله أعلم. لكن طبعا ننصح الناس العوام بالابتعاد عن الخلافات، يعني إلا إذا كانوا أصحاب قراءة، يعني نوصيهم وننصحهم بالأحوط طبعا تبتعدوا عن الخلاف، تبتعدوا. لكن لو أنا سئلت عن اعتقادي أنا لا أجبتهم بهذا، والعلم عند الله. أنت اقرأ لنفسك. ومن أفضل المراجع في هذا المحلة ابن حزم رحمه الله والله أعلم. تفضل شون.
Someone who's in his times before he was practicing Muslim, he was in a relationship with a pagan, and after he starts practicing, he was still in somewhat of contact with her, and he feels like she's maybe on the verge of accepting Islam, or maybe he's hoping that she will, so they can actually be together. Is it upon him to stick it out and keep in contact, trying to get her to convert, to revert, or should he leave her?
I would advise him to stay in contact with her, to talk with her, to message her, to stay in contact with her with the purpose of bringing her and saving her soul from the fire. Let alone him being realistic with himself. She was a beautiful woman. She was a nice woman. She had all the akhlaq, but she was a Hindu. Wal-'iyadhu billah. She had akhlaq better than a Muslimah. Unfortunately, in 2017, unfortunately. She had the sincerity, she was honest, she honored her, she was chaste. The only thing was missing her was La ilaha Muhammad Rasulullah, Tawheed, etc. So, bi'idhnillah, if you feel that she's sincere and she really wants, then I would advise you to remain in contact with her, along with being precautious and clarifying to her and telling her, listen, I'll help you out. Where's the masjid? You need directions, you need help, kada, this, and that. But it's not a boyfriend-girlfriend thing. It's not like a old back in the day type thing where we can sit and just talk and laugh and joke. I can't. And the reason why I can't, not because you're ugly, not because you're bad as a person, not because your hand is filthy, but because my deen means more to me than you. And if it was up to me, if it was in my hands, I would be with you right now. But I'm a slave of God, and I'm calling you to be a slave of God. That perhaps can have an effect upon her. And you tell her straight up, I still want to be with you, but got to be the right way. Everybody understand this? So that's what I would advise in this situation, dealing with the situation with honesty and transparency.
About 6, 7, 8 years.
If she's interested in speaking to you and she trusts you, take advantage of the situation with taking the necessary precautions, as I said, and not doing something that's haram, being alone with her. مثلا khalwa, طبعا. Okay? Or talking about things which are clearly haram. That's a different story. But, let's just be real. Okay? The people, they act fake when it comes to cell phones. Falan, contacted. Listen, akhi. Who are you talking to on your phone? Your WhatsApp, your Facebook, your Instagram. How many people, how many friends you have? How many pictures and videos and girls you're talking to? A sister has a question. Oh, no, I can't reply to you. That's not honesty. That's not what? It's not honesty. Somebody contact you from another country. I'm totally away from her. She asked me a question. Thank you very much. The video was nice. Jazakallah khairan. Could you please help me out? Bil ma'ruf. Everybody understand this? Also, with being cautious. طبعا. بالحيطة يعني. Being cautious. But you have to be waqi'i. The concept of the cell phone, talking to people, media, that's like walking down the street now. It's like what? It's like walking down the street now. Everybody understand this? So even if a long time, if she wants to learn Islam, she's interested in Islam, or even if she tells you, I miss you, I still love you, I want to be your wife, and she also has a little bit of taste for Islam, take advantage of that. Take advantage of that. That's what I would advise with, along with the necessary what? Precaution. And not doing nothing that's clearly against the sunnah, but to be real. To be what, Yusuf? To be real. Wallahu a'lam.
Initials MG. Initials MS from Rockville, Maryland. Assalamu alaikum. What is the ruling on paying your zakat after every paycheck rather than once a year? And if that is wrong, do you have to repay it or just start from this date?
If you get a paycheck every week or every 2 weeks, every month, what are you paying zakat on? Are you paying zakat on that paycheck? The paycheck that you're getting every week is above the nisab? That's one scenario. Or as a person just paying for the money that's in the bank with the money from the paycheck every week. Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this? Thirdly is, how do you pay zakat off of something that hasn't reached the nisab? Unless it's sitting there and the months go by. And if you are paying the money for the check that you get that's above the nisab, thousands of dollars that get paid every 2 weeks, tayyib, the money has not sat there for the necessary time with regards to wujub. Some of the ulama say it's permissible to hasten the payment of zakat. Yajuz. Ta'jil. Okay? To hasten the payment of zakat. And some of them even say it's permissible to delay it for a specific wisdom. But not necessarily best. Not necessarily what? Best. That which is simple, that which is clear, is that you should allow the money to sit there, save the money, and pay it at as a whole. That's better for the poor people to get more. But if you're afraid, if you're scared, if the money that you have is above the nisab, and if it's not there for 12 months, and you want to get rid of it, la bas. Say, la bas. So it depends on the situation. It has to be detailed. As far as if it was wrong, if it was incorrect, then that zakat that you paid that was against the kitab and the sunnah, as if it doesn't exist. It's like a feather falling from the ceiling. There's no weight. It's like dust. Because you didn't follow the sunnah in paying zakat. You gave too little. You gave zakat to someone you weren't allowed to pay zakat to. Everybody understand this? So seek Allah's forgiveness. And fix the zakat in the future. As far as those years that you made the mistake, you didn't know any better, you thought that was right, inshallah, ma'afwan, inshallah. Hopefully, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. If you can calculate the number of years or months or weeks that you were paying zakat weekly, which shouldn't be done, and you can reinstitute it, then that's best as well. Wallahu a'lam. The zakat should be given at the end of the year. At the end of the year, with exceptions to agricultural produce, as Allah says in the Quran, وَآتُوا حَقَّهُ يَوْمَ إِيش حَصَادِهِ. When you get the harvest, pay for the harvest. Wallahu a'lam. Faddal talib.
What if you're saving money to pay off a debt, but you don't have enough money to pay off the debt, but it's still above the limit?
Pay zakat on it. It reaches the nisab, 12 months, pay the zakat. And inshallah, the zakat is not going to hurt you. 2.5 is not going to hurt you. 2.5 is not going to hurt you, hopefully. If you have a big debt and it's taking you at least 12 months went by, a year you haven't paid it off, hopefully that 2.5 is not what? It's not going to it's not a big bite out of the money that you're saving up for the debt. Allahu alam.
Ibn Jamak, is it allowed to...
Where from? Next question.
MI, initials MI, Northern Virginia. Is seeking knowledge from the internet enough, or do I have to study practically from a shaykh if I want to get serious?
If you want to get serious, of course it's not enough. Of course not. There's nothing like being in the contact of the teacher, sitting with the teacher, looking at the teacher, listening to the teacher. There's nothing like that. Let alone building a relationship with your teacher. You drink tea with your teacher. Wallahi, I'm going to tell you a story. When I was maybe 15 or 16 years old, okay? I was in my home, and I had my 3 sisters that were older than me. The first 2, the oldest and the middle one, this is when I really got the religious spark. I became, religious now, like, making salah in the masjid at 15, like serious. So I was telling them about some of the local imams and the local guys in my masjid, and they were, these older sisters, they had just heard and learned about, Dawah Salafiyah, yani. Well, it wasn't no Salafiyah back then, it was Dawah Salafiyah. It didn't get chopped until, a few years later on, they just called it Salafiyah. But back then it was Dawah to Salafiyah. They would say Dawah to Salafiyah or Salafi Dawah. So they were just exposed to the Salafi Dawah, which was predominantly, 9 out of 10, was pumped and promoted in a whole different section of Philadelphia from where I was from, West Philly. There were a few brothers that were upon, quote unquote, Dawah to Salafi in West Philly, but it wasn't pumping at all. It was well known to be from a whole different section of Philadelphia. And there were some things that happened in the past between the masjids. We're not going to get into all that right now. What's important is that they were exposed to that. To a brother, to a sister, to a tape, al-muhim. They were exposed to that. So we talking about the generation in the time of Abu Muslima, Abu Usama, these big shot daddies. Call yourself Salafi, Salafi Dawah, Dawah to Salafiyah, the Sheikh translating lectures, scholars from Jordan, from Saudi. It's reality. Ali Halabi, Usama Qusi. Okay? And I'm talking about the local guys from our masjid that can barely whatever. So they're like, you gotta listen to this, Muhammad. You gotta cut your pants. You gotta do this. You gotta get rid of your rap tapes. You can't do this. You can't be rapping. You can't. Wallahi, you gotta do all this. You gotta wear thobe, so on and so forth. So I'm telling them, like, the sheikh in the masjid, brother Fulan and brother Fulan. They said, listen, he may sound good, but he's not a student of knowledge. I said, what you mean he's not a student of knowledge? She said, a student of knowledge eats eggs with the sheikh. They eat breakfast with the sheikhs. This guy never went overseas, let alone ate eggs with the sheikh. So he can't be a real student of knowledge. So listen to this tape. Everybody understand this? So I didn't necessarily listen then, but the point was there, is that if you really want to be a student of knowledge, next level, you got to be in interaction with your what? With your sheikh. And not just reading in a book, self-taught. You got to be knocking on the sheikh's door. Open up the door. Mufti, I'm here. Go away. I'm tired. I'm sleeping. Do. I want to study. I want to learn. I want to benefit. Why? You understand? You got to be in interaction. You can't do that on the internet. You can learn things on the internet. If you're in a far place, a country, you can't come. Nah, benefit on the internet. Yes, benefit on Skype. But if you actually have the ability to come into physical contact with a person, it's like night and day. It's like what? It's like night and day. Time zones. You may have a class online with the sheikh. It's a different time zone. He's tired. He can't give you the full amount of energy. Let alone the phone, the connection. It's not the same. It's not what? It's not the same. So you can learn on the internet, yes. And you can also be serious on the internet, but you can't be, as my sister said, what? You gotta eat eggs with the sheikh. Breakfast of futur ma sheikh. Anta an asbaht yani. You gotta actually eat breakfast with the scholar. Then now you're a student. Everybody understand this? So that's my advice with regards to that. Do what you can online. Learn the books. You can teach yourself. I taught myself Arabic. But obviously you have to outgrow that. Now, what's the next step? I can't teach myself. Now I need to learn. I need to study in person. Everybody understand this? That's my advice on that issue. Allah Alam. Shukran.
Is the hadith it says marry within your tribe?
Marry in your tribe? I've never heard of a hadith that's sahih, thabit. An Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, marry within your tribe. Abadan. Wallahu alam.
وما مدى صحة الحديث الذي ذكر فيه أن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم قرأ بسورة الزلزلة في ركعتي الفجر.
نتكلم عنه بعد الدرس. أما هذا الأول لا أعلم أنه أي صحة، بل الظاهر خلاف ذلك. والله أعلم. أما حديثك الثاني ففي يعني من مصاحح ومن والله أعلم. Any more questions, Nafis?
Yeah.
تفضل.
Some.
Hmm?
They're gonna put their name or initials. Or they have the name.
Everybody see this?
No country.
Check this out.
AA.
Sheikh Amin, not you, Khalid. Allahumma musta'an.
AA Oslo, Norway.
Tell them how many Jews inside, Sheikh.
Is it permissible to work in a nursing home where the uniform one has to wear contradicts the conditions of hijab, and sometimes you have to serve alcohol?
For the engravements. On the inside and the outside. Right. Working in a nursing home in which you're serving alcohol, you're wearing something which is against the hijab shar'i? Obviously no. Unless it's a necessity. Unless it's a hardship. A single parent. A woman whose husband has been killed or locked up. Imprisoned, unfortunately. A sister who's been divorced and her husband doesn't take care of the children. A sister who wants to wear the hijab but her parents say no and she has to leave the house and fetch for herself. Take care of herself. That's one thing, a difficulty in which there's no other halal job that you can get. It's hard, it's difficult, and you have to survive. That's one thing. As far as if you have the ability to get a better job in which you can wear the full hijab, or you don't need the money, it's just extra money. You didn't have to leave, or the ex-husband is taking care of the children, or whatever the case may be. There's no da'i for you to get this type of job, then no. Because if you're not wearing a proper hijab, you're not obeying Allah Azza wa Jalla's commands. He told you to wear and how to dress and how to behave, how to walk, how to talk. Let alone alcohol, serving alcohol, and the curse, and the major sin of drinking alcohol, and helping each other upon sin and upon transgression. So it is totally haram unless it is one or two things. Number one, durura, compulsion. And number two, haja muliha, a need. She's not compelled, but it's a hardship. And her not having, she can't just starve. Everybody understand this? It's very difficult. With the intention of getting out of that job and eventually be then finding something which is close and closer to pleasing Ar-Rahman subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everybody understand this? But the condition of minorities, a single parent mother, a widow, these things have to be what? Taken into consideration. And it's also upon the jama'ah of that masjid to look after that sister and to allow her not to have to serve alcohol, be around non-mahramin, and wear a shirt and a pants in which do not serve the purpose or the same conditions of the hijab shar'i. Hijab shar'i. Wallahu a'lam. That's in brief. Subhanallah. Oh! Allahu Akbar. Allah, 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 Allah. Hello, wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala abdi wa rasulih Muhammad. That's the end of the class.